Hello. Hello, everybody. How you doing? Camilla, Scott, Commissioner Salyers, David. So I wanted to do a warm thank you for everybody choosing to spend your time here in the beautiful Chattanooga, Tennessee at the Chattanooga Convention Center. You've made a great choice, and this program is going to be incredible over this day and the next two. So great job. With that, would love to just go ahead and acknowledge our sponsors, platinum sponsors, Synergy Group. We also have the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation and Republic Services, and also Synergy Group. So there you got some gold sponsors available. So there's the Synergy Group, Synergy Studios, Republic, all the platinum sponsors, TDEC, gold sponsor Burns McDonnell, ePro GeoSeal, Haley Aldrich, Stantec, Wright Brothers Contracting, our silver sponsors, AECom, Envirocon, E-Tank, On-Site Environmental, and Waste Management, and our bronze sponsors. And with that, I'd love to hand this beautiful program over to one of the finest MCs in the nation, Amy Ketcher.
All right, yikes, finest in the nation. That's a lot to live up to, David. This crowd is going to be really disappointed. But thank you so much for that generous introduction. And man, I am so excited to say good morning, almost afternoon, and welcome everyone to the inaugural Tennessee Environmental Network Show of the South. As David mentioned, my name is Amy Ketcher, and I'm so pleased to get the honor of kicking this event off. I work for the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation's Division of Solid Waste Management, but today I get the honor of welcoming everyone to the conference that's been, 3 years in the making now, no thanks to COVID. Yeah, I see David Owenby over there laughing and shaking his head because it really has been 3 years of planning. We thought we were going to be full steam ahead, and you know what? I almost can't believe that we finally made it here. The planning meetings that we started last fall, we were moving. We were full steam ahead. We were ready to go, and then boom, Delta. Okay, no problem. We pull back, we regroup again, things are looking good. Then boom, again, Omicron. Well, let me just sum up everyone's feelings that's been on the planning committee and meeting to get this thing off the ground. What a long, strange trip it's been, with thanks to Jerry Garcia for that line. A few of you, thank you, a few of us in the crowd are old enough to know that one. But here we are in the beautiful scenic city, ready to network, share best practices to positively impact current and future practitioners to improve the environment of Tennessee and the Southeast region. I'm going to be hosting our luncheon keynote session where we have some amazing speakers to get started, including Time Magazine's newest correspondent, who is wearing the coolest suit I have ever seen. I asked him where I could get one of my very own. Cash Daniels, you guys probably know him better as the Conservation Kid. He is my boss's boss personal guest today, and you are going to want to hear from him. It is going to be an exceptional time, I'm sure. I already got him to visit our little booth set up out front to do a quick interview. That was great to hear from, so I know he's going to be so awesome to hear from today. Now, during today's opening plenary, you're going to hear from state and federal leaders who are going to share how their organizations support local economic development while improving the environment. They're going to share their organization's goals, accomplishments, and opportunities to overcome challenges. First, I'm going to welcome to the stage my commissioner for TDEC, David Salyers. Commissioner Salyers was appointed to his current role by Governor Bill Lee in January of 2019. He previously served as executive director of the West Tennessee River Basin Authority for more than 2 decades. There, he was recognized as leading one of the most impactful, cost-effective agencies in state government, where he quickly became known for effective public-private partnerships, leveraging federal funding, and advancing restoration techniques for streams and wetlands. As TDEC Commissioner, he led implementation of record capital investment in the Tennessee State Park System, developed TDEC Reimagined to create flexible, accountable work arrangements to attract, engage, and retain the highest performing employees in state government. He also represents the administration and department on priority interagency efforts to improve natural resource management, rural economic development, and outdoor recreation opportunities right here in Tennessee. Commissioner Salyers has led high-level executive partnerships with the U.S. Department of Energy on matters pertaining to the cleanup at the Oak Ridge Reservation, and he's also worked on many state-level, multi-state level issues with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. He has also been a strong advocate for advancing the electric vehicle infrastructure and ecosystem in the volunteer state, with partnerships to expand fast charging networks to Tennessee's leadership in EV manufacturing as well as supplier infrastructure. Commissioner Salyers maintains registrations as both a professional engineer and a professional geologist. He earned his bachelor's degree from Murray State and his master's degree from Missouri University of Science and Technology. So everyone, please help me welcome to the stage TDEC Commissioner David Salyers.
Thank you, Amy. Wonderful to be here, and we're going to have to shorten my my bio. I'm going to take that out of my minutes I have to speak. So, but it is so great to be back together here in Chattanooga. I can't tell you, it's like, virtual. It's good to see people in 3D once again. Before I really begin my remarks, I want to say something about a friend of mine, a great friend of the department, and a man who was very instrumental in getting this program going 40 years ago, this conference. And that's Mike Apple, and he passed earlier this week, and just ask all y'all to keep him and his family in your thoughts and prayers. So, but he was so instrumental and such an advocate for the department. So, it may be news to many of y'all, but many of y'all did know Mike. So, thank you. And I appreciate David Mook and the Synergy Group keeping the show of the South vision alive. And as many of you know, I am a very, very strong promoter of high-quality technical education, information sharing, and networking across diverse environmental topics and between organizations. So I believe, oh my gosh, that thing is heavy. But I believe Tensos can and should be the premier environmental show in the southeastern United States. And I think we're there. And when I look around the room, I see a whole lot of people. And I can't wait I see some faces I haven't seen in so long. I'm looking forward to getting out and visiting with you a little bit. We have more than 25 local governments from across Tennessee represented here today. So we've got a lot of local officials and leaders from those cities and counties and municipalities representing solid waste, air programs, water programs for their city and county. Great to see you. Thanks for being here. And we've got terrific representation from the federal government. I see DOE. Wait a minute, there's two DOEs, Department of Energy. Department of Education is represented here as well. We're just so happy to see you. And TVA, we have a lot of TVA folks here, and my good friends from the Environmental Protection Agency, which you'll be hearing from Region 4 Chief of Staff John Nicholson, and David Lloyd, who you heard a little earlier from Washington, D.C., who came through loud and clear. David, I'm still ringing in my left ear just a little bit, but I really love our department's working relationships with EPA and all the federal agencies that we have. It's been a lot of fun. It really has for 3.5 years with Department of Energy, EPA, TVA. It has been a pleasure to work with those entities. So, I think of those, when you think about the relationships and the open lines of communications that we have, even when they're tough or even when we don't agree, they're so vital, to effective intergovernmental relations and good governance for the citizens of Tennessee as well as our nation. I'm also, I mentioned we've got representation from higher education here today, and our NGOs, our non-governmental organizations. It's wonderful to see y'all. And throughout my career, one of the things I've learned is working with and collaborating with those groups where we can essentially leverage one another's resources to make even greater things happen. So from the academic folks that are here, along with the NGOs, thank you so much for being here. And consultants galore. I'm surprised with all the money coming down from the federal government, y'all have time to take out of your busy schedule when you need to be designing wastewater infrastructure and everything else. But we're glad that you have taken a few minutes to be with us today, and because we have a lot of terrific engineering and consulting firms joining us today, and I'm pleased to see you here. And as a professional engineer for more than 3 decades, and a big part of my early career working in private industry, I know how important it is to have those engineering consultants working toward solutions for a better place to live. So thanks for your solutions-oriented problem-solving mentality. And I do think, when I think about this conference, I really think about it, it's a gathering geared toward learning. And I learned so much at these, and I look forward to actually attending a few sessions. If Kelly keeps scheduling phone calls for me and Teams meetings, I don't know that I'm going to get to attend any, but we're working on that. So there's some really good sessions, so I'm looking at that. And because I think there's some really high-value content, and then we have a lot of expertise from some of the best practitioners and minds across the southeastern United States here. So this is also a great opportunity to engage across disciplines. I'm really big on that within TDEC, for our different divisions to work together across the different media, so we can share that. And I think that's going to be a real opportunity here today for that. So I'm excited. We're here in person, or 3D, and I'm very confident that being together at Tensos 2022 will help all of us make the communities that we live in a better place to work and play. So also be remiss if I did not recognize my own department. You saw us up there as a platinum sponsor. Man, we have some great people. And while we're not an organizer of this conference anymore, we're just thrilled that we're able to be a big part of that. So I think it really goes a long way toward helping TDEC meet our mission with education and collaboration and cooperation with the regulated community. And so anyway, thanks for our department for being here. I think we've got around 100 folks. And you'll hear from him a little later. Surprised you hadn't heard from him yet, but our Deputy Commissioner Greg Young is here. Greg, are you in the room? This is really important as a part of your annual performance plan to be here. I've had to call him out before, and he has to come running back here from the hall. So thank you, Greg, for being here. Greg does a tremendous job for our department, and you'll be hearing from him throughout the conference. And yeah. Are you an attorney today, Greg, or no longer practicing today? Okay. Well, yeah. And we do have, I tell you what, we have a tremendous team of legal counsel and attorneys in our shop, and they are really some of the best minds out there when it comes to environmental law and how to work through some really tough issues. And man, they're tough. They can be tough, and it's fun to work with them as well. Jenny Howard, our general counsel over here, and she's got many of her folks with her. So thanks for helping me remember that, Greg. We do have a number of engineers and scientists and technical experts here as well from across our department. So, all right, Greg has achieved successfully what he normally does. It gets me off track and going in a different direction. David, that cost me 3 minutes there, didn't it? So, I'll borrow Greg's time from tomorrow. How about that? But anyway. When I think about the success that our department has, in working with you, it really comes from the talent that we have in our department. But you know, the other thing it is, it's like a dedication and professionalism, and they're mission driven. I mean, they love what they do. They believe in what they do. So I think that's a big part of how we get there. Today at 4 p.m., Greg and I are going to be in working the TDEC booth. It's not a dunking booth, but I'm sure there's some folks out here that didn't get the permit in a timely fashion that would love to put us in a dunking booth. So where's David? David, can we look at maybe doing that next year? And I'll volunteer Greg up for that. He's the one that denies permit issuance. So we'll try to do that and help to raise some funds for a scholarship coming on. So, but we will be back there today at 4 p.m. So if you get an opportunity to catch up with us and visit, and I don't get to say to you, that's a good time to come back. But I also want to share today what might seem like a bit of a contrarian message. While I think about it, I acknowledge that our nation and the world right now feels really, really unsettled. You know, just a lot of uncertainties. And I think it's really easy for us to be rattled by, those uncertainties. But a big part of that, as we think about it, because we are really living history in this moment, all the things that are happening and that have happened in the past 3 years that are happening right now. But there are opportunities out there now that we have not seen for decades, and unlikely we'll see these opportunities again. So I'm always the glass is half full kind of person. I love it. I'm excited, I'm encouraged, and just flat out optimistic about the work at TDEC and the work that we're going to be able to do as we move forward. So let me just touch on a few of those things of what TDEC is able to do to support the built environment. And we're all about strengthening and enabling Tennessee communities to thrive. And we have a lot of opportunities in front of us. And we aim to invest more than $2 billion in critical water, wastewater, and stormwater infrastructure across our state by 2027. And the deployment of this infrastructure investment is going to come through Tennessee's program for the American Rescue Plan and the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law. And I'm pleased to see that there are a number of dedicated breakout sessions that we'll be covering some of that over the next few days. Really proud of what TDEC's been able to do to develop the Tennessee Water and Wastewater Infrastructure Plan through the American Rescue Plan. We've got a great team that has worked on that, and we're investing $1.35 billion of our state ARP allocation, which is about a third of the allocation that we receive. So thrilled that the governor and the Fiscal Stimulus Accountability Group saw fit to put that money into some critical infrastructure. And this is going to be a very key step in addressing the estimated $5 to $15 billion in water infrastructure needs across the state. I did not adjust that for inflation. I probably should have before this talk, but anyway. But we are working to really program those funds strategically to support investment in priority areas that are going to build system technical, managerial, and financial capacity, and help to reduce the risk that are associated with human health and the environment. So the priority areas include significant non-compliance, investing in asset management planning, which is so critical, and combating water loss and infiltration and inflow. Where's George Garden? I saw George earlier. George has thoroughly educated me on the importance of that. That's just like pouring money into the ground, or it's great. So, and then working on replacing our aging infrastructure. So on April 28, we released an announcement of $1 billion is now open for non-competitive grants from Tennessee's ARP funds, and that was a monumental undertaking. I really like where we are as a state as a part of that process. And we are working to integrate that funding from the ARP program with other programs and opportunities that are going to include investments through the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law. And we're working very, very closely with local officials at the city and county level to ensure that they're involved and coordinated across the efforts to maximize the impacts of the funds for their long-term benefit. And I can tell you it's a whole lot of fun to get out there. I was in Bell Buckle, Tennessee yesterday, population 400. meeting with the city mayor, and just the work that they're doing and the excitement around this and how they're going to be able to invest those funds too. That's Nashville's really growing, Chattanooga's growing, but when you go to Bell Buckle, they're trying to stay 100 years behind. That's more their motto. It's a beautiful, beautiful community. So if you get a chance to go there and visit, please do so. Another element of the built environment we're focused on is our electric vehicle charging infrastructure. This is something that I have become very passionate about and very, very excited about. And as it has been described to me recently, we have become the buckle on the South's auto manufacturing belt over the past 40 years. So we're at the top of the list for auto industry employment in the Southeast. But Tennessee is also poised to become the EV epicenter of the United States for electric vehicle production, supply chain, driving, and ownership. So we're very excited about that. We're very excited that here in Chattanooga we have Volkswagen, Nissan North America in Smyrna, GM and Ultium Cells in Spring Hill, and of course the Ford F-150 Lightning that's going to be built in the new Blue Oval City at the West Tennessee mega site. And what an impact that has had on West Tennessee. But we want Tennessee to have the best EV charging infrastructure across the nation. So from our 50 fast EV charging corridors that we're working with TVA and TDOT on to get in place to our Tennessee state parks, we have a partnership with Rivian, and they're installing electric vehicle charging stations there as well. So we're very proud to play such a role in supporting our place as the EV epicenter of the nation. And this morning I got to drive around on the Brownfield bus tour. I got to visit with Chattanooga Mayor Tim Kelly and many others. And the work that's going on through our Division of Remediation here in Chattanooga is unbelievable. I can remember driving into Chattanooga in the late 80s, early 90s, and you couldn't see the mountains, and there was just an industrial blight, and now it is like one of the most beautiful and livable cities across the country. So that was great to get out and see some of the work that is going on and has happened to revitalize some of these areas. And one thing that I do believe, and I share this with the governor a lot, Tennessee's prosperity and economic opportunity depend on a clean environment. That is the foundation that enables us to do what we do here. And brownfield cleanup and remediation is a great example of how these two things can come together. When the General Assembly this year passed Governor Lee's budget, I think they went home a couple of weeks ago. We got any General Assembly members here? Okay, well, I am being recorded, so I'll skip that thought. Yeah. Anyway, it was a good session, and glad they're back in their communities listening to their constituents. Yeah. So, but anyway, the governor included in his budget what he called Beautiful Tennessee, and that included $40 million to invest in environmental cleanup, including national priority sites. And David Lloyd, if you're listening up in D.C., I think that makes you happy. Please don't say anything. It may come through a little loud and clear, but you'll hear from David Lloyd in just a bit. But I know he's going to be very excited about that. So our department received $22 million to clean up non-national priority list sites that are strictly state obligations. And this is the first time we've received money to help clean up non-MPL sites in a number of years. Steve Sanders is here somewhere, the director of our Division of Remediation. I think he was panicking initially because how are we going to spend it? We don't have people. Well, they included $500,000, Steve, so you can hire some quality staff to help execute some of those dollars. So that was great. The federal government is or will soon be giving the Division of Remediation $20 million to manage cleanup of some additional MPL sites, and that is match free. So normally the state has to match 10%, but right now it appears that this is free money. Nothing's ever free forever, but at least at this moment in time it is free. So, and we know of 3 MPL sites right now that are going to be impacted by those dollars. They also received $10 million non-recurring to continue matching our current national priority list sites and potential new contracts that we'll be entering into with EPA. And that certainly includes the additional match for the Chattanooga South Side project, which was #1 nationally. when we received the initial funding. And since that time, the cleanup effort has basically doubled in size in terms. We've gone from 20 to 50 to 100 million, and very likely to go up a little bit more. Great project, great cleanup, much needed work. We're also pleased that we were able to receive $9 million for solid waste cleanups, solid waste site cleanups statewide, and that includes orphan landfills, tire other open or illegal dumping sites, and this funding is going to take care of the entire list that we know of as of right now. We also have $3 million to jumpstart our grants to development, back to development districts, and to jumpstart the household hazardous waste program that has been so successful across the street. So, you know, when we talk about that, that's a whole lot of money, and you do need money to get this work done. But what's even more important than money is people, and it always comes down to people. And so there's a lot of needs, issues, and work that needs to be dealt with. But the people provide the capacity, the purpose, and the possibility to make that happen. And I'm so fortunate to work with such mission-driven people in our department and across a host of partnerships that we enjoy with you in the audience. But as much as I feel young and have never been more excited about the next 5-year period of my career than I do right now, I know I'm closer to the end than the beginning of my ability to make a professional impact on my organization and the world, to leave it a better place than where I think Winston Churchill is like, you know, for me, this is where I'm at. I am at the beginning of the end, not at the end of the beginning. But I look forward to really pouring my energy into moving some of those initiatives forward over the next few years. And I'm just so thrilled that, you know, to look at the generation that's out there today of leaders and talented folks. And there's one person that really inspires me a lot, and I really feel good about where we're going to be in the future, and that's my new friend, Cash Daniels. Cash, can you stand and say hello to everybody? Yeah. And we'll get Cash to come up here on stage in just a second, so you can appropriately recognize him. But Cash is the conservation kid. 12 years old, from Chattanooga. He was a finalist in Time Magazine's 2022 Kid of the Year for his conservation work on the Tennessee River. And the young man, he makes that shark suit look good too. I've had more requests, it's mainly out of our legal department, as to where can they get one of those shark suits. But he does, and he looks great in it. And but we got to visit a few weeks ago. His mother and a lot of his family came up. Representative Vitale here out of Chattanooga introduced to us because he was so proud of the work that Cash was doing, and he wanted to make sure that we were able to connect with Cash. So I soon learned more about him and how he is individually spearheading efforts that have led to about 14,000 pounds of trash removed from the Tennessee River. And I'm sure it's probably more than that now because we developed these talking points about a week ago. And we've also partnered with Cash at several of our Tennessee state parks to set up collection containers for a fishing line, which is collected and then sent for recycling. When I go to our state parks now, if there's a water body, I'm looking around to see if Cash has one of his containers up there. So, but I wish we could clone him, but I don't think we can. Cash, can you just come up here for just a sec? But I do want to salute him for what he's done and what he's going to continue to do to engage people of all ages. I mean, he's inspiring young folks and old folks like me, and what they can do to make a difference for conservation in their community. Cash, I just want to thank you personally, and I would love it if y'all would give Cash a warm welcome for the great work that this young guy is doing right here. Wave your crowd up here. Cash, thank you, sir. Thanks for your friendship, and we look forward to working with you for years to come. And y'all can talk to his mother about where to pick up that sharp little shark suit that he's got on. I don't think I can pull it off, but there may be a few of you that can. So, but I will close by saying that this is truly an extraordinary time for us, and we really are living history in so many ways. and emerging from a historic worldwide pandemic, making historic investments, also dealing with a lot of historic uncertainties and unknowns. But what I think is really most historic about this time, and we'll only know when we're out there 5 to 10 years looking back, on where we are at this point, is the level of historic opportunities that are sitting there right in front of us. So I trust that we, collectively will be wise enough to act on those for our current and future generations. And I just want to thank you again for what you're doing through your organization, your community, and for your state. And your work is certainly critical to the quality of life we enjoy and want to maintain here in Tennessee. So it's a true honor for me to work along each of you as we continue to pursue this most noble of endeavors. So thank you for being here, and look forward to visiting with you later.
Thank you so much, Commissioner and Conservation Kid. That was great. Let's give him another round of applause. What do you say? All right, and I got to say it again. If you lay out that idea of putting Greg in the donking booth, you got to let Chattanooga Police know about it, because we're going to have a line down Broad Street. All right, so I advise against it. All right, now please help me welcome to the stage EPA Region IV Chief of Staff John Nicholson. Mr. Nicholson began his service as Chief of Staff for Region IV this past January. His role allows him to directly support EPA efforts to protect public health and the environment across the Southeast. Prior to joining the EPA, Chief Nicholson served as the Chief Deputy Secretary for North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality for 6 years. There he led and coordinated the department's mission and associated goals and objectives. These included securing the largest coal ash cleanup in United States history and supporting efforts to clean up the Cape Fear River, which had been contaminated for years by Pfas chemicals. In addition to the many duties he performed, he was also tasked as the agency's lead on disaster recovery, marine fisheries, risk and resilience planning, economic development coordination, and modernizing all aspects of the department's environmental permitting processes. Mr. Nicholson is a retired colonel in the U.S. Marine Corps, where he served on active duty for 28 years. He earned his master's degree in National Security and Strategic Studies from the U.S. Naval War College, a master's degree in Military Studies from the U.S. Marine Corps Command and Staff College, and a bachelor's degree in Political Science from San Diego State University. Thank you for your service, Colonel. And please welcome to the stage Region IV Chief of Staff John Nicholson. And he laughed at my joke earlier, so thank you for that.
So, same thing on, have to work on that bio, right? Hey, I feel like coming up here after the Commissioner and Cash, I don't know, nice to see you next, but we won't do that. I have to tell you, I'm equally happy to be back here in person, and especially here in the great state of Tennessee. I have family ties. My stepdad is from Lenore City, and is extremely proud volunteer, and has shared that with me as I've come up through my life and career. So I'd like to bring greetings from my boss, Regional Administrator Daniel Blackman. He regrets he couldn't be here with you today, but I will tell you the staff at Region 4 let me know that this was a premier event and that I was getting a plum to be able to come and represent here today. And if I could, we have quite a few folks from Region 4 and from headquarters EPA. Just raise your hands real quick. So yeah, we have pretty good coverage here as well today, so thank you all for coming. As you heard from my bio, I've only been in the job for about 4 months now, so I'm meeting some of these folks in person for the first time here, and that's also nice just to get back and meet folks you work with. I also have to say that I want to thank Mr. David Mook and their team for putting this together, and thanks for inviting me to share a few comments with you. And of course to our partner, Commissioner Salyers and the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation. They're outstanding partners. I know from my time just across the mountain in North Carolina that we had a great relationship with TDEC, and I look forward to building that even more and closer in the new role that I'm feeling here in Region 4. So this morning, I'm going to break my comments into a few buckets. The first bucket's going to be kind of a high-level overview on where big EPA is, and then sprinkling in some Region 4 aspects. Then I thought I'd highlight some areas of our partnership with Tennessee, and a lot of what the commissioner hit on will be in part of my comments that I think, as I was listening to the commissioner, really reflects our mutual efforts and partnership. And then, is everybody familiar with what Region 4 is, or what we comprise in the Southeast region? In addition to Tennessee, we have 8 total states, but we have Alabama, we have Mississippi, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, the Carolinas, and we also work with 6 federally recognized tribes. Throughout the conference, there will be many others from the region that are going to deliver more specific remarks and give you some updates on topics of interest, such as our regulatory activities in air and RCRA, environmental justice work, brownfields, and Pfas. I know later on today, right before happy hour, our emerging contaminants coordinator, Ms. Erin Jones, will give an update on the EPA Pfas roadmap, and we also are privileged to have our director of our Enforcement and Compliance and Assurance Division, Carol Kempker. I know Carol's got a couple sessions, one today and one tomorrow, but you're getting the A-team here. And all of us are looking forward to networking with you over the next 3 days. So let me shift over to kind of the big picture EPA view and put some things in context. And I don't know how many of you are familiar, probably not, it's probably just for those of us in the regulatory community, but EPA put out a new strategic plan, and it covers FY 22 to 26. And for the first time, it includes a strategic goal focused exclusively on addressing climate change and an unprecedented goal to advance environmental justice and civil rights. These priorities are integrated throughout the strategic plan's programmatic goals and cross-agency strategies. From my perspective, and again, it's probably from where I'm coming from over at North Carolina DEQ, but also as a new member of EPA, I think the plan is pretty straightforward and understandable. If you take a look at the executive summary, it's a tight, good plan. And it commits to following EPA's 3 basic principles: follow the science, follow the law, and be transparent, but it adds a 4th foundational principle of advanced justice and equality. Within the strategy, there are 4 cross-agency strategies that articulate essential ways of working to accomplish mission outcomes, including collaborating with traditional and new partners, what we're doing here today. Those particular buckets are ensure scientific integrity and science-based decision-making, consider the health of children at all stages, at all life stages, and other vulnerable populations, advance EPA's organizational excellence and workforce equity, and strengthen tribal, state, and local partnerships, enhance engagement. I would like to add specific emphasis on engagement with tribal nations, state, and local government and communities. Having just come from a state, I'm keenly aware of how important it is to get the local government and community's perspective on an issue. After all, you live in those communities, and who knows best of what the problem is. I always cringed when I got a comment that someone said, you know, hey, those folks in Raleigh's are deciding how to solve our problem. And I'm sure it happens the same thing. Those folks in Nashville, the folks in Atlanta, the folks in Washington, and I know my boss feels the same way, and we really need to respect that perspective as we do our jobs. And it's tough, you know, because we get in our own little circles, but we do need to remember it. And I would challenge all of you, especially our state partners, you know, if we start coming downtown telling you how to eat your ice cream cone, just give us that nice push and say, we got this. But we want to respect that. Back to the strategies. Under 4 strategies, there are 7 associated goals. I'm not going to go into each one of those. They're what everybody in this room, I'm sure, is very familiar with. We've got the air, land, water, enforcement, compliance, and we've added climate and environmental justice. And again, they go a lot deeper as I spill water all over here. Let me focus a little bit on the new additions of climate and EJ in particular, because again, I think most of this audience is familiar with the other objectives EPA's been working. For the Biden-Harris administration, environmental justice and climate change were both issues where the administration has called for a whole-of-government approach. So EPA's work is complemented by initiatives and investments being made by other federal agencies and across the levels of government. I will say internally within Region 4, this is being woven into our day-to-day operations and planning at all levels, and I'd say that the staff is wholly embracing the effort. It's been interesting for me, again, as the new guy, to walk in and to see how deeply embedded the Region 4 staff was into working on climate and the EJ issues. And it's clearly a priority of EPA Administrator Regan and our boss, Regional Administrator Blackman. As part of this effort, we're working to support the President's Justice 40 initiative, which aims to devote 40% of the benefits from federal investments to underserved communities. It's a critical opportunity to invest in the cleanup of legacy pollution, to create clean energy jobs in overburdened communities, and to help deliver environmental protection to all people. Our success in confronting the biggest environmental challenges of our time and delivering on EPA's founding promise of securing a safe and healthy environment for all people in our country will be determined by the strength of our partnerships, and we're working real hard to build and reinforce those existing partnerships. I know Administrator Regan, as well as my boss, Regional Administrator Daniel Blackman, they've made it a priority to get out in person as much as we can. And for me, again, 4 months on the job, this not just checks a box, but I'm finally in Tennessee, and it's really good to be here with the partners and with all of you, as well as with our environmental advocates, our business and industry leaders, those of you that are in this room that are on the front line of working on pollution and other aspects of the environment that we care about. So, Commissioner, you said something about your talk with your governor that really resonated with me, and it's something that Administrator Regan says: the environment and the economy are not mutually exclusive. You can have a clean environment and you can have a vibrant economy, and I think the folks that come to conferences like this in this room, you're the folks that make this happen. So yeah, it was interesting to hear your perspective on your talk with the governor. Let me transition now, again, to some big ticket items. I think most everybody in this room is probably aware that we're celebrating the 50th anniversary of the Clean Water Act. Before this act, our rivers were literally on fire and most pollutants were unregulated. Clean and safe water is our nation's most precious resource. It sustains life, it gives us opportunity for recreation and play, and it powers our economy. So with these improvements, communities are starting to return to the water, to swim, to fish, to recreate, while simultaneously our drinking water is better protected. And we know that Tennessee and TDEC have a really good story to tell on this front, and we look forward to partnering with you as we celebrate the act. Going to go into a little bit of funding and follow the commissioner's line on the bipartisan infrastructure law. You'll hear me calling it a bill. The bill provides the single largest federal investment in our water infrastructure in history. To EPA, $50 billion to replace lead pipes, tackle emerging contaminants like Pfas, and to build drinking water and wastewater systems that are resilient to the climate crisis. For more than 30 years, the state revolving funds have been the foundation of water infrastructure investments, providing low-cost financing for projects across the country. But we know that many vulnerable communities have not received their fair share of federal infrastructure funding, and we believe the bipartisan infrastructure law gives us a unique opportunity to address these disparities and remove those barriers to protect the underserved communities. I know for a loan this year, we're providing $7.4 billion in infrastructure law funding to the state revolving funds, with a lot more to come over the next 5 years. Our overall, within the region, we have almost $1.2 billion that came to us, and the commissioner covered the key aspects of what's coming into Tennessee, so I won't try and run down that path. I'll goon at the numbers and Commissioner will come up here and toss me off the stage. Additionally, on bill, the National Brownfields Grant Program have an unprecedented new level of funding. The competitive grant program, including assessment, cleanup, multipurpose, and revolving loan fund, will increase from $300,000 to $800,000 to $5 to $10 million per grant. That will make a difference. Competition will open in the fall, so you'll be seeing more from us in the November timeframe. And I believe my EPA colleague who's following me, Mr. David Lloyd, will probably provide more details on that front. On to emerging compounds and PFAS. EPA strategic plan, which I mentioned earlier, also reflects our commitment to advance our goal to protect public health and the environment from per and polyfluoroalkyl substances, PFAS. The long-lasting forever chemicals that are present in our water, soil, air, and food, exposing most people in the United States. I will tell you, this was a huge issue for us across the hill in North Carolina. So I'm coming into this position with a little bit of passion for this particular topic. Our PFAS strategic roadmap, which was released in October, lays out a whole of EPA approach to tackling PFAS with clear timelines, concrete action from 2021 to 2024. And the roadmap has 3 overarching goals to guide these actions: research, restrict, and remediate, and will be grounded in science every step along the way. We are leveraging the full range of our statutory authorities and developing technologies and partnerships with other federal agencies to prevent PFAS from entering the air, land, and water. And then here in Region 4, we've established an external working group with our state partners that focus on PFAS issues to keep us all engaged across all media to face this truly challenging environmental issue together. Okay, now I'm going to transition over and talk about some of our partnerships with Tennessee. And again, this is, the team actually gave me, I think I had 6 pages of highlights and accomplishments from across the region. And I picked out just a few, and in particular, I'm going to focus on Superfund. As a result of bill, there are 3 bill-funded New Start remedial actions occurring in Tennessee this year. Right here, Southside Chattanooga. To date, approximately 2,400 of the 5,000 properties within the site boundary have been sampled. Since the start of FY22, a total of 99 properties have been sampled and 106 properties have been remediated. Of the approximately 1,100 properties found to have lead concentration greater than the site-specific cleanup goal, 657 remain to be cleaned up, and the pace of cleanup will be significantly accelerated with the funds that are coming from the bill. Oak Ridge Reservation. I think I was talking with some folks last night, and good progress is being made on the record of decision for the Environmental Management Waste Disposal Facility, and that's a partnership between TDEC, Department of Energy, and EPA. And from my perspective as a new guy, it's a pretty solid partnership. A public meeting is scheduled for next week that will focus on 3 areas of information about the waste disposal facility that were not available at the time of the 2018 proposal. 2018 proposed limits for radionuclides and surface water, waste acceptance criteria, and hydrogeologic information about the proposed location. Again, all 3 of our agencies continue to work together and also to support the redevelopment of the East Tennessee Technology Park. Shifting over to a little bit on water. In April, EPA's Assistant Administrator for Water, Radhika Fox, released a policy memo called Accelerating Nutrient Pollution Reductions in the Nation's Waters. The memo reaffirms EPA's commitment to working with federal agencies, state co-regulators, tribes, water stakeholders, and the agriculture community to advance progress in reducing excess nutrients in our nation's water. 58% of our nation's rivers and streams and 45% of our lakes have excess levels of phosphorus. EPA's new nutrient memorandum strongly supports optimization techniques for small and medium-sized municipal wastewater treatment plants where system upgrades may not be affordable. On this effort, TDEC has been a leader for some time now, and Region 4 has worked with other states to develop their capacity to provide similar assistance modeled after the TDEC program. It's a really good partnership that we have. Just some quick stats. We've collaborated, and we being TDEC in Region 4, to provide targeted technical assistance to over 33 publicly owned treatment works, identifying opportunities to reduce energy consumption and improve nutrient removal, often at no cost to the facilities. We identified the potential to reduce electrical consumption by 19.6 million kilowatt hours per year that would save these plants an average of 20% of their electric costs. The identified operational changes to reduce effluent total nitrogen by a total of 1.2 million pounds per year, or an average 50% reduction. I think that's pretty significant. And then I know there's some agriculture folks in here, and I will say, and I don't know, again, I'm a new guy at EPA, but I'm really seeing a focus from the headquarters as well as the region to strengthen our partnership with the agriculture community. Under this policy memorandum that I mentioned that came out of the Office of Water, we plan to expand engagements with our agriculture stakeholders and highlight their successes. We further pledged to broaden our collaborations with USDA and the community writ large to enhance, encourage, and promote conservation cropping systems that minimize soil disturbance and maximize plant cover, that preserve soil organic matter content, enhance farm profitability, promote sustainability, and improve water quality. And in this spirit, I want to take the opportunity to highlight one of the 2021 Tennessee Governor's Environmental Stewardship Award winners, the Coffee County Soil Conservation District. The Coffee County Soil Conservation District has been instrumental in transitioning from a long-term no-till row crop production system into higher functioning agroecological system across Coffee County. Agroecology uses ecological and social concepts and principles to design and manage agricultural systems, and is recognized as both a mitigation and adaptation strategy for climate change. The Coffee County has implemented a diverse cover crop mix following growing corn and soybeans. This has improved water infiltration, erosion, soil biology, biological diversity, organic nutrient cycling, plant pests, drought tolerance, and invasive weeds. It's done a lot. They've also made over $10 million in federal and state funds available to producers in Coffee County to support efforts to rejuvenate cropland, grazing, and forest land. And over 400 producers representing 70,000 acres of land have adopted regenerative practices. So that's it for my formal what's going on at headquarters EPA and what's going on in the region. I thought I'd close by just sharing a few challenges, and it's actually going to echo what the commissioner shared. The sheer size of the bill funding presents challenges for EPA as it does for the states. You're wrestling not only bill funding but with ARPA funding, and for many of the same type infrastructure projects. And one of the words that keeps racing around, and it was said up here a couple times, capacity. And we're feeling that at EPA. Staffing is a critical issue for us. We have a lot of our employees that are preparing to retire, and that long-term sustenance of the region at a time when we're surging to do more is a major concern for us. Also, I think we're all good at poaching from each other on those key people. I mean, I know we grabbed good people from the state, and industry grabs good people from the state and from the feds. So this is a challenge for all of us. The other thing is we need to take a look at those most in need of the benefit and funding, and this includes helping underrepresented communities that have the resources to compete for these funds. But we also know that they have a challenge with planning experience, personnel, just overall bandwidth and resources on how to go through the complex processes that we put them through. So bottom line, we're going to continue to work closely with you. Thanks again for welcoming me to the show. It was awesome to hear Cash, and I really appreciate everybody having me here. Look forward to talking to you more. Thank you.
Thank you again so much, Chief of Staff Nicholson. Let's give him another round of applause, too. All right, now I'd like to introduce the Director of Brownfields and Land Revitalization for the U.S. EPA. David Lloyd was born and raised in Carson City, Nevada. He graduated from George Washington University in 1985 with a BA in English Literature. In 1988 rather, he graduated from Washington and Lee University in Lexington with a specialty in real estate and corporate law. He worked in private law in Carson City through '91 and real estate and corporate law before returning to Washington, D.C. to join the Office of General Counsel at the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency as an Assistant General Counsel for Claims and Property Law. In 2000, he became the Director of EPA's Facilities and Real Estate Division and became a member of the Senior Executive Service in 2003. Since 2006, he has been the Director of EPA's Office of Brownfields and Land Revitalization. He's a proud citizen of the Cherokee Nation as well as an avid equestrian. So please turn your attention to the monitors to help me welcome Mr. David Lloyd.
Thank you very much for that introduction. Hopefully you can hear me okay. I want to say thank you to the Commissioner and Chief of Staff John Nicholson for those comments. And I wish I was there in person. I was planning to have things come up here in Washington and I need to stay. But I would love to have the opportunity to meet Cash Daniels. Very inspiring story. So keep up the good work, Cash. You're really setting an example for everyone. Okay, thank you, Camilla. I want to give you just a little overview of the program, but more importantly, follow up on General Nicholson's comments and talk a little bit about the bipartisan infrastructure law. The EPA Brownfields program is not a typical land cleanup program in that we do not oversee the actual cleanups as the Superfund program does or the river program does. And in fact, in some cases, the water program does. We are a funding and technical assistance program. So we provide funding through competitive grants. We have other non-competitive funding. But we more importantly provide oversight, guidance, technical assistance to help communities and tribes address their brownfield cleanup challenges. We have different types of grants funding. We have assessment grants, which are our most popular and the most important source of money we have. And the reason it's the most important is with assessment funding, a community or tribe can really understand the level of contamination at a site. And once you understand the level of contamination and document it, that just opens up the private investment because investors will
Thank you so much, Mr. Lloyd. I hope you can hear the big round of applause you're getting there because that was great. Thank you. All right, he can hear us. Thank you. And let's give Mr. Lloyd and all of our opening speakers another round of applause because they were incredible. What a great way to kick off Tensos 2022, don't you agree? All right, well, now it's time to head off to the afternoon breakout sessions. We've got several different tracks for you to choose from, including the popular legal track, It Is Back. The first sessions will begin promptly at 1:15, so you've got about 15 minutes. Now, they're going to be in the ballrooms. What you do is you head out these doors and then turn to your right. There's going to be big placards in front of whichever one you want to attend. They are going to begin at 1:15. We have, in addition to the legal track, we have air and climate tracks, as well as contaminants of emerging concerns. Uh-oh, we're talking about Pfas again, Chief Nicholson. So your first break is going to be at 2:30 this afternoon. You should head back here to the exhibit hall. You can spend time with our 2022 exhibitors. Couldn't do our conference without the exhibitors and sponsors. Then we have 2 more afternoon breakout sessions. We're going to have great topics, including brownfield grants you just heard a bit about, all about TDEC and EPA data viewers, as well as sustainable food management. Then please make sure and come back right here to the exhibit hall at 5:45. We're going to have the commissioner's reception, and that's sponsored by Republic Services. So have a great afternoon and enjoy the conference, enjoy your breakout sessions, and have a great Tensos, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us.